Welcome to My Key Films, where I ride, hike, and build bikes. Or at least try to. I studied film at UT and NYU and worked in the industry. Watch me struggle so you don't have to. This is the Stumpjumper EVO S-Works. Full carbon, full send. We are 1 carbon rims laced to Industry 9 Hydra hubs. Up front, a 29-inch Maxxis Minion DHR2. 160mm Fox Factory Grip X fork. SRAM Maven brakes levers. Out back, a Fox Float X shock. Hustle Bike Labs Avery RemTech pedals. X01 cranks paired with a Sigeyi power meter. X01 axis wireless derailleur. 27.5-inch Maxxis Ardent. Ergon SM Pro saddle and Ergon grips. SRAM pod rocker controller. SRAM Maven calipers paired with 200mm rotors. Hustle Bike Lab pedals, Fox Float X shock with 150mm of travel. 1UP Components V3 dropper post. So I built a Stumpjumper EVO S-Works, all by myself. Tubeless tires took a few tries and a lot of sealant. Forgot a fork part? Yep, it matters. Brakes were a science project. Axis derailleur, wireless drama queen, dropper post, absolute cable routing nightmare, but with YouTube and ChatGPT I pulled it off. So try it, you might surprise yourself. Let's get to building. The color is satin gloss black pearl, brushed black chrome. The carbon frame weighs 6 pounds with internal cable routing. The suspension is a Fox Float X factory with open and firm switch, 11 clicks of adjustable low speed compression and 16 clicks of adjustable rebound. Large EVO air chamber with piggyback and Kashima coating. The frame has 150mm of travel and 27.5 trail geometry and adjustable flip chip and head tube angle. Here are the We Are One carbon wheels. Let's check out all the other parts I got. Convergent fuse and triad wheels. Industry 9 Hydra hubs with 690 points of engagement. Maxxis DHR2 and Ardent tires. SRAM Maven brakes. SRAM X01 Axis wireless derailleur with new Axis rocker pod controller. SRAM X01 cassette. Robert Axle project axle for my Wahoo trainer. X01 cranks with Sigeyi power meter. 1UP 35mm stem and carbon bars with Ergon grips. 2025 Fox 36 factory fork Grip X 160mm of travel. 1UP component V3 dropper post. Ergon SM Pro saddle. Hustle Bike Lab magnetic pedals. You want to make sure the tire is facing the right rolling direction as well as line up the logo with the valve. I picked the Maxxis Ardent tire because it's a fast rolling lightweight tire that also has a tan wall and is 2.4 which works well with the triad rim. The Convergent triad rim is 32% stronger than the previous models, thanks to a unique spoke interface system that reduces fatigue on the nipples and the spokes. The triad rim can pair with tires between 2.4 and 2.6 size.
Okay, I got it.
The pump has an air chamber that you can fill up to 200 psi.
This is the core remover. Can you twist this off?
Stands recommend 60 to 90 milliliters of sealant. I had a company called Custom Wheel Builders build the wheel and add the rim tape.
Ooh, I'm messy. Now put the core back on. And then now we just pull this lever. Alright, that's the 27.5 tire all set up.
This is a disc rotor and cassette install. I looked up on Google what SRAM's recommended newton meters are, and it's 6.2. You should wear gloves so the oils in your hands do not contaminate the rotors.
Make sure that the threads are going on right.
This was actually very tiring and took forever. You could use a drill. You just have to make sure the screws are threading correctly and not tighten it all the way. Use the torque wrench to do the final tightening.
There we go.
I'm putting grease on the SRAM XD free hub, and I have an Industry 9 Hydra hub with 690 points of engagement.
Now we're gonna put the cassette on. Okay, cassette's on, and then we're gonna tighten this up. This is supposed to be tightened to 40 newton meters. Okay, I think that's pretty good.
I got this torque wrench at Home Depot that I can tighten the cassette to 40 newton meters.
The first step is to temporarily install the dropper post so I can secure the bike on the stand. If you're planning on doing any maintenance on your bike, a good bike stand, like this one I'm using here, is an absolute must. The first thing you want to do is add grease to the top and the bottom of your frame. Next you want to install the crown and the lower bearing. With this type of crown you don't need to hit it into place. Add more grease to the crown, lower bearing, and spherical adapter. Don't forget the spherical adapter for 1.5 lower bearing, it's very important. Plus or minus 1 degree angle adjuster upper head side cup. Fork, upper bearing, compression ring, washer, top cover assembly. Compress everything with a mallet and use a strap to hold it together. Spacers, stem, top spacers. Mark with a saw while compressing. Mark again 3mm below your mark. Use part 2 saw guide to hold the fork and saw. File the steer tool, use star nut setting tool, hammer in star nut. Put it all back together using the strap to hold the fork. Compress it all together and tighten top cap with compression bolt. Tighten stem bolts to spec. Slide in and adjust bars. Torque to spec bolts on stem.
Mount adapter for 200mm rotors and caliper. Secure brake lever with 4mm hex wrench. 2.5mm hex wrench to tighten hose guide. 5mm hex wrench to mount 200mm rotor adapter. Unscrew compression nut, remove hose, then cut. Remove nut and boot. Feed cable through, mount caliper, and use end of a screw as a pull-through guide. Mount rear brake lever, measure hose length and cut. Add grease to Stealth-A-Majig hose barb and screw on, then screw on olive counterclockwise. Insert hose and tighten with an 8mm wrench, then torque with special tool. Remove E-clip, unscrew retainer bolt, and remove brake pads. Spread apart pads, reinstall retainer bolt, insert bleed block, remove bleed port. Loosen 1/4 turn with 5mm hex. Push in bleeding edge tool, rotate counterclockwise 1 full turn. Adjust lever blade 75mm from handlebar and rotate contact point away from arrow. Unscrew bleed port and screw on syringe. Push and pull syringe oil to remove air bubbles. Close valve, rotate clockwise to close, then pull. Torque to 1.8 Nm. Open valve, squeeze lever repeatedly. Pull and push syringe, then close valve. Unscrew syringe. Screw on port screw and torque to 1.6 Nm. Clean with alcohol, remove the bleed block, reinstall bleed port cover, remove gloves, unscrew retainer bolt, insert pads, screw on retainer bolt, install E-clip, insert thin side of pad spacer, and massage the pistons. Pairing the derailleur with the pod rocker controller. Install a charged battery, hold the derailleur's pairing button until the LED blinks, then press the pod rocker's pairing button. When the LED turns solid, press the derailleur button. Now you're paired. For micro adjustments, hold the pod rocker button until it turns solid green, then use the paddles to fine-tune. Adjustments are small but precise. Release the button to return to normal shifting. Install the UDH hanger by aligning it with the frame tabs. Secure it without grease, tighten counterclockwise with a 4mm hex, and torque to 25 Nm. To mount the XO1 derailleur, lightly grease the threads, align it with the UDH hanger, and secure it with a 3mm hex. Torque to 8 to 10 Nm for a firm fit. Next, install the Axis pod rocker controller. Ensure the SRAM Axis bridge clamp is in place. Loosen the T25 bolt, slide in the controller, align with the triangle, and torque to 2 Nm. Install the rear wheel and axle. Remove the caliper wedge, grease the axle threads, mount the wheel, and slide in the axle. Tighten with a 5mm hex and torque to 12 to 15 Nm. On the drive side, attach the silver trainer component, swap in a longer bolt, and add a rubber washer to protect the UDH bolt. Torque to 2 to 5 Nm. So far, brakes are working great. Release shock air and secure it with an orange strap. Wrap the chain around the largest cog and 32 tooth chainring, bypassing the derailleur. Pull tight, add 2 full links, cut, and ensure inner links for the master link. Press the derailleur button, lock the cage open, and thread the chain through. Connect the master link, arrow facing chain direction, and snap it in place. Release the derailleur button, rotate the cranks until the master link is between the cassette and chainring, then hold the tire and press the crank to lock it. Adjust B tension, set the low limit, set the high limit, and finally micro-adjust shifting. Today I'm installing the 1UP Components V3 dropper post, arguably one of the best droppers out there. Alright, let's get started. First up, remove the dropper post. Use the dropper post cable as a guide and feed it through the storage panel and up toward the post. To keep it on track, use a piece of cardboard to block the other frame holes. Once the cable reaches the top, insert the cable housing and thread it back toward the front of the bike. You'll need to push the housing into the storage slot with your thumb, then feed the housing through till it pops out in front. Slide the barrel nut onto the cable, then seat the cable head into the actuator cradle on the dropper post. Make sure it's secure between the jaws before inserting the post. Next, thread the cable into the housing and carefully insert the dropper post, pushing it down while pulling the housing from the front of the bike. To install the seat, remove the clamp plate, slide the saddle rails into place, then reattach and tighten. Leave enough housing for bar rotation. Insert the cable, tighten the 2mm pinch bolt, and use the barrel adjuster to fine-tune tension so the dropper pops up faster. Then tighten down your grips and brake levers. Cut the cable, add a ferrule to the end, and torque the seat post clamp to 6 Nm. Now it's time to put the pedals on. One of the first things you learn when working on a bike, and yet somehow, still one of the easiest things to mess up if you're not paying attention. First, add grease to the threads. Don't skip this step unless you want your pedals permanently fused to your cranks. Then thread the drive side pedal in clockwise, righty-tighty. Tighten it down with a hex wrench, then torque it to 35 to 40 Nm. Easy peasy, as long as you don't go full gorilla and strip the threads. Do the same to the left pedal threads, add a little grease so they don't seize up over time. But here's the catch. The left pedal is reverse threaded, so you'll need to turn it counterclockwise to tighten. Yep, totally backwards. Tighten it down with a hex wrench and torque it to 35 to 40 Nm, just like the right side. And remember, lefty-tighty, not righty-tighty. Don't fight the bike trying to thread the pedals in reverse. As you can see, I've mounted the bike onto the Wahoo Kicker trainer to make setting up the suspension easier. Next, I'm hooking up the shock pump and inflating the rear shock, starting around 200 psi. Now, recommended pressure can vary depending on your weight and the shock design, but a good starting point is about 25 to 30% sag when you're in your full riding gear. Most riders end up around 1 psi per pound of body weight, but it's all about fine-tuning from there. Next, stand on the pedals with all your riding gear. Don't bounce, just stand. The shock pump is about 225 psi, so that's about 25 to 30%. Actually more like 25%, so we'll go with that. Now I'm going to check the fork sag. It should be between 15 and 20%. Pro tip, bring your shock pump with you on your first few rides. You might still need to tweak it out on the trail once the bike starts doing bike things. It looks about right at the factory settings, so I'm not going to mess with the pressure in the fork. If you did need to adjust it, you just unscrew the blue knob on the left side of the fork, then hook up your shock pump there.
Alright, we're gonna see how heavy this bike is. Let's check it out. It's about 32 pounds, 32.1, 30, fluctuating between 31 and 32 pounds. Like 32 pounds, I don't know if you can see it, 32 pounds.
Well, that's my Stumpjumper EVO dream build. Yeah, I know, blink and you miss half of it. This was the short version. If it felt like I crammed an emotional roller coaster into 20 seconds, you're absolutely right. If you want the full nitty-gritty, I've got separate videos on each part. Or stick around, because next up is one long-ass video showing the full build, from chaos to masterpiece, and after that, my first ride and first impressions, and probably the first crash. Stay tuned. And if you're feeling generous, buy me a coffee. Actually, make it a pizza. Link in the description.